Okay, Carmen, go ahead. Carmen, can you hear me? Hello?
It looks like they might be on mute.
Oh, Lisa's on mute.
Yeah.
There we go.
Okay, well, did you get any of that?
No.
Okay. All right, we're gonna try it again. So we're gonna call the meeting to order at 4:03. And first on the agenda is approval of minutes dated August 9th, 2021.
And I make a motion to approve the minutes.
Awesome. Anyone like to second?
I second it.
Thank you, Lynn. And all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
I got a question about them.
Oh, okay, Howard?
Just the dates were a little confusing on that. I was trying to read over the minutes and I kept thinking that the packet that I was seeing saying it was July minutes and I was looking for August minutes when I was on the website. So that was the only one thing I wanted to say. Otherwise, let's go on with the vote.
Oh, it says August in here. Do you know where in the
July
minutes?
in the corner.
Oh, in the upper right-hand corner of the minutes, Sherry. It's dated July 12th.
Oh, okay, I'll fix that.
Threw me for a huge loop.
Yeah, thank you, Howard.
Okay.
Okay. I'm gonna do this just one more time so it's a clean aye and nay. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
And anyone opposed? Awesome. So next up, we have topics from the floor for anybody who's not on the agenda. And we don't have anybody in the room. So it looks like we have Pat on the line on the Zoom call who's not on the agenda. Pat, did you have anything you wanted to say?
I was just wondering if Doug got my email to read to the city commissioners.
Oh, he is not here today. So I would say best way to follow up would be via email with him, unless there's something that you'd like to read to us and have us address. We're happy to do that as well.
No, that's fine. I'll email him. Thanks.
Okay. Yeah, thank you, Pat.
Was it something that you sent to Doug or to all the city councilors?
I sent it to Doug.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Pat. Okay, next up on the agenda, we have counselors report, and we have Patrick here today. So Counselor Berkeley, do you have any updates or anything you'd like to share?
Do I have any updates? Yeah, actually, I swung by Campbell Park this afternoon to see the work that's going on. Took a little video of the roller thing going and the dump truck and anyway, so it's really great to see that the work is progressing there. Other than that, I just want to thank this commission for the good work you're doing with the parks. It's a crown jewel of our city, and I had planned to attend even before I knew that Doug wasn't going to be here, because I was thinking I'd like to put my 2 cents worth in on a few things, like when it comes to maybe discussion of the master plan updates. But no, other than that, really nothing specific to report. The new playground at Mccormack Park continues to get used greatly. Has the zip line been able to be prepared or repaired?
Not yet.
Still working on it. But anyway, folks are, the rest of it's working well, and it's just, so thank you, commissioners, for your good work, and keep at it.
Thank you. All right, next up, we will move on to new business. First up, we have the McCormack exercise stations, and we have Greg Arch, hopefully I'm saying that right, on the line.
You got it. Okay. Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Here we go.
Yeah, my name is Greg Clark from the St. Helens Lions Club. I've got some pictures to share. Is that something I'm going to be able to do? Sherry, if I share my screen. Uh-oh. Can you see my screen?
Yes.
Yeah, do you see a
Nice
line?
big lion.
Yay! Okay, this is good. It's without the lion. Okay, we don't really care about the lion. Okay, so the St. Helens Lions Club, we maintain the exercise stations down at McCormack Park. Nothing to do with the Frisbee area, just the exercise path. And here's a couple examples of some of the stations. As you can see, they're done by either 4x4 or 6x6 post-construction. They're looking good. But I would like to talk today about this sign. There is a sign that is of a similar construction, and the sign is having some problems. Weather has gotten to it. You probably can't see these. These are some really cool.
Ooh, beautiful.
Or they look
I
like
like it.
kind of golf tees. If I go back for a minute, the sign itself, where the words are, that seems to be okay. Some sort of plastic paneling. I think it's just the wood that really needs attention. However, the side, this is what you'll see here is the corner of the bathroom building at McCormack Park, and then there's our little sign. This little path, if you were to take a right, that would go across the footbridge, but if you were to take a left, that would take you towards the exercise stations. So this is the sign that's of some concern. This is someone else's project, has to do with the library program. You see the number 5. So there are 5 of the 8 picnic stations. And then we get to the first station of McCormack Park's exercise station. And we were thinking, hey, it would be real cool if we could have that sign replaced and moved so it's a little bit more appropriate to the activities going on. And one suggestion would be this spot right here. If you can see exercise station number 1, which is where this is, whoops, kind of in the background, there's some blue here. That is that new child's area. And then to the side here is the backup baseball diamonds. So that's more or less where it is, which is kind of far from the bathroom. If you want to learn something today from this presentation, it is the exercise station is called the par course. Par is in golf. The people that created this, they would say, like on this one, your par is 10 seconds to do this activity, and next time you would go for 15 seconds. That would be par 2, par 3. Thus, it's called a par station. So as far as the Lions do activities in town, assorted things, a lot of recycling programs, the flags to first graders, the flags we see in the national holidays, some activities with the children. This is a plastic recycling program. This is all from the web page. But digging holes and moving 4x4s, that's kind of outside of the scope of what we normally would do. So I'm here to ask, hey, can the parks take care of this, or can you talk to the city or somebody take over this project for us? This is not we just maintain this. We're not even sure where these exercise stations originally came from. Rumor about it was an Eagle Scout project way back in the early 90s. Now, the money. Although we'd rather not do the work, we've talked to some local vendors, and helped out ourselves, and we will be able to replace the hardware and the wood and the stain. We could provide that, but hopefully not the labor itself.
Okay.
And then the last one here is one of the benches that's on the path. And the reason I wanted to show this is the cement work was not something that we had done, and the town was able to come in and put our bench in and bolt it down. And that's pretty much the scope of the proposal is, hey, can it be repaired and or moved? And can somebody do it that is not me?
Well, thank you for the detailed presentation and walkthrough. That's really helpful. My perspective on it is I think it would be great. If the materials are all paid for and you guys are maintaining everything already, I think it would be great if city staff could help rebuild that little kiosk and move it to a different spot. But I would have to defer to Shauna on if that's something that we are able to accomplish. And then also I'd like to hear from the other commissioners.
Okay, fair enough. Sherry has my email, so I would like to be involved in at least bringing the materials down if we get to that point.
Does anyone else have feedback or thoughts?
That sounds good. Is Shauna there today?
She is, yeah.
I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
So part of my job as the Parks and Recreation Manager is to come up with a strategic plan list of things, projects we have coming up and such. And I definitely think this is something that we can add to our project list. I'm not sure exactly where we'll be able to fit it in right this second because we are still doing some work over at the new park and finishing up some stuff with our seasonal, but I don't think it would be too far off. So I would like to get this put on our plan and check in with Mohammed just to make sure that where I'm going with this is correct. And then if you want to give me your email, we can touch bases on when you can get this put on our list of projects to start completing.
Okay, fair enough.
So there are employees that have the skills to do this.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Time.
Yeah.
They have some good
This
work.
is the main thing, but and we're coming into our fall season, which that is a lot of tree care and stuff. So just seeing how that all fits in with if this will be something that will, you know, make during the winter time and put out during the spring or what would be the best option for when placing it to make sure it's during a good time. So it's not getting ruined before we put it up.
Do we need to make a motion or not?
It doesn't sound like we need to make a motion.
I don't think so. I think that, and I can update you all as we have more information on what that looks like too.
Sounds like a good idea to me.
I think it's a good idea as well.
Awesome.
Yeah, and I just want to say we really appreciate everything you do for the park. We love the exercise stations. A lot of people use those, and I agree with moving the signage to a more appropriate place where it's more visible. And we'd love to help make that happen.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you, Greg.
Thank you. Mute.
All right. And then I think we just need a screen share to end.
Yep.
Awesome. Thank you. Next on the agenda, we have Knob Hill bench placement, which
Okay.
I was just gonna say, I added that just because there was some conversation at the end of last meeting about the placement of the bench. And it sounds like there were some different conversations with the party who's donating the bench. And so just wanted to bring it up here and make sure everybody's on the same page, since Howard, you weren't at the meeting last time. And I know that there's been some communication since then. So I don't know if you want to provide an update on that, Howard?
Yeah.
I see your hand is raised.
Yeah, I'd like to talk about it just for a second.
Awesome.
I'd also like to thank the Lions Club for all their help in doing these benches. They're really a neat addition to the park. And just to clarify a little bit, at one time we had talked about that down by the kiosk would be a kind of a nice place to have a bench and have it facing towards the, there's a a wetlands that forms during the winter time. So that's all we were thinking of, a bench down there. But we all are also very open towards putting one at the top of the stairs where when you come up the railroad tie staircase. And I think Jerry mentioned a little bit about this last month. There's an old home site there, and there's really nothing but grasses in that area. And so I think that that's the compromise. Let's meet, let's talk it out. I don't want anyone to feel that we're not giving them plenty of opportunity to speak in that, talk about it. I don't think we'd want it quite on the crest of the hill. There's a flat area just behind it where I think if you were sitting, you just see over the hill. But I'd love to meet with anybody who'd like to look at the spot. We can pick the spot all together and have a small meeting there. So does that sound like a good idea?
Yeah, we also have the donation form for when people have items that they're donating, so like benches and things like that. And so Sherry had forwarded that to me, and I can forward that on to all of you as well too. And I think the plan was Shauna's gonna fill out that form with the details, and then typically those come to the commission meeting for us all to look over and make sure we're good with placement and all the details there, and then it gets passed forward, and that way there's documentation on what's happening in the decision stage. So I think that makes sense potentially as a next step. And Shauna, feel free to advise on anything that I just misstated.
No, I think that's all correct. I had said that I would fill out the form for it because we appreciate all the work they do. So if I can do some of the admin stuff, I'm more than happy to do that. Howard, when were you thinking of meeting to show everyone, or who would like to be a part of that meeting for the approval? And is this something that the Lions Club is in agreement to as well, where you're thinking about putting the bench?
I know they were talking about wanting to have it overlooked somewhere, and that'd be kind of my choice, would be just as you come up those railroad tie staircase and just immediately left when you start going up the hill. To me, that would be where the perfect place would be. If you went farther out on the ridge where you minorly start to see the sewage treatment plant, you're talking about probably having to maintain more trail, and that's where all the Camas is when you go out that trail a little bit farther that wraps around. So that's why that old home site there I think would be the ideal place. Am I describing it correct, Patrick? I see you shaking your head a little bit.
No, I'm just shaking it in recognition of what the area you're talking about. I just said.
Okay. But I think that would be my suggestion. But hey, we just need to meet up there and we'll work it out.
Well, Howard, I have a question on that. A comment and a question. One is, when that area gets developed, is that going to be high enough? What will the view be like once that area gets developed?
Probably depends what they build down at that end of the veneer plant property.
Because the area that I was thinking about might have been, I don't really want to destroy the Camas fields either, but I was thinking of an area that's farther upstream from that. You know where when you come, not where, between there and the entryway, probably 15, 20 yards, what I want to say, south of there, where it's kind of above the cliff up there, where it's up a lot higher.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to put anything right on, I want to say along the top of the ridge. I mean, you've got about a 4 to 6 foot area there, but I don't know if we really want to have a bench that was only 4 or 5 feet from a drop off.
Now that area is bigger than that, where I'm thinking about.
Okay. When we're done with the meeting, Jerry, if you want to pop up for a second, I can run down the street with you and we could just get a general idea.
I'll come by after the meeting.
Okay.
I'll come to your house.
Okay. And that way you can see it, you can pass on our ideas and
Sure.
We can just start formulating an idea, because that's all it is when you're placing a bench. Got to see where the public opinion puts it.
Yeah, I think the other piece to make sure we consider is the folks who are donating the bench and making sure that they are in agreement with where it goes.
Yes.
Since they are donating. So
Yeah, their concern was, my understanding is that they did not want it to be down by the sewage treatment plant, by the kiosk. I don't think they were real concerned that it was, you know, somewhere else. They just did not want it in that location.
Yeah. No, all sounds good to me. Sounds good to me. And like I say, I mean, I'm hoping that since it is, you have to go over kind of 2 footbridges to get things in there. I'm hoping that we'll be able to put together the volunteerism to put the pad together for them to be able to, for the city to mount it. So I'm sure we can work all of this out. It's not insurmountable.
Definitely. I think just getting the agreement on where it's gonna go and then the logistics can get figured out from there.
Yeah. And we did talk a little bit with the lady. We dropped some plastic off because we've been collecting plastic for the benches, you know. And so we did have a little bit of a conversation with her, but I think that you know, we just need to get it out there where we're thinking and get them to drop by at their convenience when they're walking and go from there.
Okay, sounds good. Thank you. Anyone else have comments about the bench placement?
Yeah, can I just respond? Jerry asked a question about views and heights regarding future development on the riverfront. So right now, there's nothing planned, and there's, I know a lot of concepts out there and been thrown out, but that's like nothing has been definitively proposed or even considered by the council. But I'm looking at the code here, the city code, and I'm not exactly sure how this, if it applies to the riverfront. There's a 75-foot height restriction on industrial zone. So I don't know if I'm not sure what our zoning is down there. But there's also a restriction for obstructing the view in the Columbia River, but that's from Strand, South 2nd, North and South 1st Streets, and North and South River Streets, Riverway and Riverside Drive. So I'm not sure how that would impact restrictions for the bluff at Nob Hill Park. So that I don't know that there's anything that addresses that directly.
Well, South 2nd goes down to basically the entrance on 2nd Street there. And obviously it doesn't go through the park there.
So anyway, I guess, so right now, if I'm looking at the code, and I guess Jacob, of course, would be the one, but it's potential upwards of 75 feet.
On the
Really?
So Howard, so I'd say potentially, there might be more in the code, and I would check that out.
I thought when they zoned it because the neighborhood was involved in it, I thought they said 55 feet of habitable space.
Habitable, it's okay, but then.
But then they could have a spire or a peaked roof or an elevator shaft or something. And then my biggest question always was, with 55 feet of habitable space, could you have a parking on the 1st floor and then start your 55 feet?
So Howard, yes. And also, I do think I recall hearing a figure about 55 feet at the last council meeting in regard to some of that. So that's why I say, I just want to be very careful, but I think Jacob would definitely be the one to, or John to ask, but also just assure everybody, nothing has been proposed or any decisions made on what the development's going to look like.
Okay.
No, thank you, Patrick. All right, next on the agenda, we have disc golf drop.
Do you have pictures of this or is it in your packet? Okay, I believe. So I was contacted by our disc golf group here in St. Helens, and if you don't know about them, they are the ones who started out there. They do a lot of the maintenance already out there, and they have been working to get a disc golf drop where folks, when they find stray disc golf, the stray discs, they can put them into the drop, and then the folks who are volunteering for the course can come once a week, take them out, call the people, because right now they either leave them at one of the keys, or they hang them up on the board, and some of them are getting taken from there, or they try to get into the parks office, but if we're not open on the weekends when they do it. So this is the drop that they made, And their thought is that if we can attach it to either the bridge that's there or one of the other permanent structures, that way nobody takes off with this this drop here. So as you can see in the front, at the top, it's just big enough where you can put a disc in.
No, I'm not seeing that photo. I'm seeing a list of meetings.
In our packet materials too, if you download the packet, it's in there after our minutes that were approved. There's the pictures.
And then down below, there is the spot that they would open, because that would be locked, and it's made out of steel. So they wanted to come today to present it, but none of them could make it, so I said that I would talk on their behalf. So we wanted to get your all opinion on where you think that we should mount that and get approval to go ahead and put that somewhere on the disc golf course that is semi-permanent, where somebody just can't take off with it, but flexible enough if we needed to move it to somewhere else, we could do that as well.
Shauna, where do you think it should go?
So I have mixed feelings. So I like the bridge idea just because it would be easy to weld it to the area there, like on the side of the bridge, not like on the bridge, but like on the side area. But then again, do we really want stuff welded onto that bridge? And so my other thought is at one of the holes, affixing it to their little map things that they have there, describing what the course is. And
Oh,
somehow getting it
okay,
to the
there we
bridge.
go.
Don't we put it over by their practice hall?
Over by their practice hole.
Yeah, put it over there somewhere.
Yeah,
That's a good
but
idea.
where would we, because we wouldn't want to put it anywhere where like people are picnicking and things like that, because there's not really a spot there that it could affix to easily in that area. And that area is like the Veterans Plaza, so I'd hate to put anything that's not related to Veterans Plaza.
My recommendation would be to let Shauna and the Parks Department make that decision.
Figure it out and go from there.
Yeah, same.
That sounds like a good idea.
Mhm.
The only thing I thought of when I saw it at first was that would be kind of cool to have it painted so that people one, know what it is, and so that it's more of a piece of art than just a
Yeah.
steel or whatever material that is.
Yeah, we can work at it. I'm sure they'll be out there for a week and it'll be painted. Not by us. Just kidding. But
Just put a sign on it, do not paint.
right, yeah, and having something saying what it is, and it's a disc golf drop, so it's not getting trash or things like
Because I
that.
could see people putting garbage or like
Yeah.
just not know it. I would have no idea
Right.
when I
So
saw it.
I'll
I think
suggest.
people still put garbage in it.
So,
Yeah.
But at least if you're labeling it and people know what it is,
Yeah.
then they're less likely.
That's a great idea. I'll ask him to add some sort of like
It's over.
sticker or something. Maybe Joe can make him something that says,
If it's closer over to the disc golf course, I don't know if a lot of people, if it was on the bridge, people would probably be used as a garbage can more often.
yeah, that's a great
Yeah.
point. That is, yeah. Thank you for the feedback.
Sorry, can I interject? Because I don't want to, sorry, I did more search on the code.
Okay. Oh, are we going, just want to make sure we're going back.
I was still on that, sorry, I thought we were moving on.
That's okay.
I'll go back, so let me do it later in the meeting, I can do it later.
So we can do it now as long as we're done with this topic. I think it's okay to go back. I'm just saying it out loud so that Sherry knows when she's reading back through
Gotcha.
and doing minutes that this is related to number 3.
Okay, sorry.
No, that's okay.
Doug will regret having it, when he looks at this. No, okay, so the appropriate code is the riverfront district, our email, and it is a height of 55 feet maximum, but that it also says, I think that scenic resource considerations are not taken into account. So anyway, that's in the code, 17.32.173. Folks want to look at that.
Question, this is
Thank you.
probably a silly question, but about how many floors is that typically for, I don't know how many floors. Like,
Yeah, 4 or 5.
4 or 5?
okay, thank you. Just trying to visualize in my head and I can't visualize 50 at 5 feet in my head.
Most of them are about 8 feet, aren't they? But the bottom floors sometimes are higher. I should say.
Okay,
Well, and like I say, that's, I think it said habitable space. And so that's why I was saying, I'm wondering if a way around that is we could have a parking on the first floor and then habitable would start from there up. That was a question that I've slowly learned that we never asked when they came up with the 55 feet, what that would mean, because I was a little concerned at that time saying habitable space. And so it's got some interesting questions there, but around 55 feet is what we hope.
all right. I'm gonna jump ahead to disc golf update, which I believe is you, Howard.
I was just curious. I was realizing the other day that with that and that we just hadn't heard anything about the disc golf course or anything. And I kind of, at one point, I thought we said years ago that, God, things like that every few years, they should come in and talk to us and let us know how it's going. So that was the only reason I kind of put it in there.
I can add to that a little bit. I've been working with them quite a bit. So as we've seen with a lot of our volunteer organizations, their volunteerism interest is low. And so they're having some trouble with maintaining the course. So we're doing some things with our seasonal staff, like painting some benches and trying to offload some of that work for them. They are interested in putting out new maps, because if you've been by there, the maps need a little bit of TLC, and so do the little poles that they're on. Have tons of folks that come out and do the disc golf. In fact, there's a Columbia Cup coming up in October. So if you're interested in disc golf, there's some folks that are running a tournament out here. I think it's October 18th and 19th. And then I talked to somebody today about doing a disc golf tournament that's like a Halloween style. That's kind of like a trick or treat type style thing. So we're working on possibly pulling that together. So it's still huge out here. They haven't gotten a lot of support from the Parks Department as far as maintenance goes, just because of the, short staffing and stuff. But I'm trying to work those things into our schedule, at least where we can alleviate some of that work. And then I would love to, with this group, get some work parties started from some other parks than just our normal ones, keep those ones going, but Mccormack Park would be very beneficial to have a work party at, and some other ones, and maybe we can get some things going. But I'll definitely reach out to them to see if they want to present here. I know their work schedules are very difficult. They mostly work in construction, and so it's hard to get here. But yeah, I've been in really close contact to see how we can do things better. Just like I've met with Paul with the BMX stuff to see how we can help assist that better, and just going around to the different user groups to see what things they need support from us, and just really making sure they know we appreciate the care that they put into it. Because the disc golf, the BMX, those are things that are unique to our county, and a lot of places don't have those things. So a lot of folks come out here to use them. So just making sure we're pouring love into those too, and looking at grant opportunities to do. So that's the newest on the disc golf stuff, Howard, is they are working on some kiosks and some other things that I told them that they would also need to present here, just so you're in the know of what's going on out there too. So yeah.
Okay.
And if they're ever not able, like today, not able to attend or whatever, I'm happy to meet offline too.
Perfect.
And then bring stuff in and present for them or whatever, so that's not a
great.
barrier for them. Thank you, Shauna.
You're welcome.
All right. Let's move on to number 6, which is Sand Island update, which I believe is also you, Howard.
Yeah, I was just curious. I read in the newspaper that they were in front of the planning department for building some buildings, and since it's a city park, I was kind of like, what am I reading about something that major in the newspaper before even hearing about it on the Parks Commission? So would anybody know what that was about?
Yes. Being the council liaison to the planning commission, I was, I'm trying to think, when that would have been. It was in the spring that the owners of the organization that is contracted with the city to manage Sand Island has a proposal, and I think how anybody who wants to, I'll try to find out exactly where it is, but if you were to go to the, should be able to go to the planning website for the meeting and find the documents. So there is a document that shows a proposal for, if I remember correctly, 4 cabins, and I believe an additional shelter of some sort. If I remember correctly, it would be on the northeast end, northeast side of, so on the towards the Washington side. They have submitted some plans. So anyway, again, so yes, that has been presented to the Planning Commission. And I would have to go back and look. I believe then also that, well, of course, that report was made at the city council. And I do not believe that any final decision was made that this was the, the initial proposal, and to see, what kinds of issues would need to be addressed. As far as how things are presented to the Parks Commission, I do hear some of the frustration, and I wonder about that. I think in a number of areas in the city, we don't have a well-established procedures for involving commissions like the Park Commission or even the Planning Commission in terms of making sure that you're all in the loop. Yep. So, that is something we can look at. But if you go to, I'll try to find out exactly which meeting it was at, but those documents from Sand Island are available. But Howard, I think I agree with you in this situation and in others. We still need to look at how we have our communications within the city to involve the commission. So,
yep, that was my big question there too. Sorry.
No, I think I believe it's an important question. I firmly believe that if we are asking folks like yourselves to volunteer to be involved in things, that it should be broad and comprehensive within the duties, delineated in the code. And just so long as we, always understand, who's making the decisions, how the decisions are made, that trying to increase the amount of information that you have ahead of time so that you're not maybe reading about it in the press for the first time would be important for us to look at as a council.
Thank you.
Since you're talking about Sand Island, just curious if there's been any conversation on the council about safety concerns and that sort of thing. I know that it came up in visitor comments, at least at one meeting that I was at, and I know there have been, I was camping on Sand Island, and I know that there were issues overnight while we were camping there. And so just curious if the council has discussed that at all, or if there's anything you can share around that.
Can I ask when you was your experience there, like both after those
in the middle of the night, and then I heard the next day that there was a fight in the middle of the night in the campground. We were luckily away from it.
Oh, okay, okay. And
that was in last month before. So I was just curious if
One of
there's
the
any.
big, what was, I mean, wasn't one of the issues,
The
what-
M80 went off in the middle of the night and then there was fight broke out between campers.
wasn't the issue that there wasn't a way to get, I think the sheriff, there's a sheriff's boat, and there was no way to get,
So,
you
yes.
know, a sheriff or a city policeman there.
Right, so I believe it might have been July, look back and again, if you want entertainment or to look, it's all recorded. There was a meeting, I think, at our July meeting. I remember that because I was participating in the council work session by Zoom after teaching summer school that day, and I came back just in time to catch Chief Greenway and a couple of other officers were making a presentation regarding two issues. One was the issue about boats docking illegally on city docks. And then the other was regarding law enforcement on Sand Island. My belief at this time is that the mayor is working with kind of an informal group of individuals who are interested in trying to find solutions to resolve the derelict boat issue. Our police department did bring part of their presentation, gave a lot of information about how these types of things are handled at different cities. I recall that John Walsh, our city administrator, at our last meeting said through some investigation, because of our agreement with the Oregon Marine Board, that we have, I believe, another tool for enforcement. So that's being investigated. As far as law enforcement on Sand Island, the primary concern of Chief Greenway was the safety of their officers, both in terms of not being trained and the availability of transportation. So we have, we've got the barge or something that takes, but in order for law enforcement officers and for their protection, for the protection of anyone that they're dealing with, for protection of the city with liability, those officers would usually require some specialized training, which at this point in time they do not have. I believe the mayor was going to reach out to the sheriff's department to find out some specific information about what our intergovernmental agreement was for using the sheriff's department's boat for enforcement. So I do not believe that any final decisions have been made, but investigation steps are being taken to address it, but nothing final has been determined. But essentially right now, I think another thing we found out, the city did in its agreement with the Sand Island Campground Organization said we would provide law enforcement, but we never had that capability. When that agreement was made in the first place. And that was done under previous council. So anyway, I understand staff is working on it, and Mayor Scholl particularly has been taking an interest in helping to resolve those issues.
Thank you for the update. Sorry to open a can of worms.
No, there are a lot of worm cans to be opened.
Because I want to say, even at a later meeting after that city council meeting, there was 2 or 3 people that got up and spoke about both those topics that Patrick brought up in the 5-minute comments at the beginning of a meeting. month or so after that, so.
Yeah, there is. And I think the frustration of both staff and city councils. Very oftentimes, we do hear people bring a concern to us, but don't always bring possible solutions or a willingness to be part of the solution. So after that second meeting, Howard, I think that is exactly, the mayor did reach out to some of those individuals specifically. And they've been stepping up, I believe, to help be involved in the discussion.
All right, thank you. That's all for new business. Now we are on to old business. First is master plan ideas list updates. And this is kind of a carryover from our last meeting when we were talking about the master plan and just different ideas that we have that we'd like to be added to the list. And I know that not everybody was at the meeting last time, so I wanted to add it again on the agenda and just see if anyone had questions based on the conversation that we had last meeting as people read through the minutes, or if there's other items that people want to chat about in relation to future master plan updates. As Shauna mentioned before, there's going to be a whole process of going through when a vendor is selected for doing the parks master plan. And so there will be a whole process of brainstorming and all of that and city involvement and our involvement. But this is more just to keep our ideas on the list so we don't lose track of them and kind of brainstorming together. So with that, I will see if anyone has thoughts. Jerry?
Okay, I want to talk about 3 parks here.
Okay.
Actually, 4 parks. The Grapewood Park, up on that upper level up there. It would be nice if the back part of that was fenced off for a dog park. So when people go to Sand Island or they come with boats, people in this area can take their dogs to a place and let them run around. Okay, the Godfrey Dog Park area, just want a clarification on that. If you're on 4th Street and you're standing kind of by the horse there, you know, what I've talked about for 3 or 4 years is the far right of the park down there that's not being used. Make that, not fence it off or anything, but have some signs down there that, you know, not sure the proper words, like when you go to a restaurant, you know, where it says pet area.
Off-leash dog, off-leash pet area.
You know, where they can go do their thing, you know. So it's kind of off, you know, down there so people can do that. Doug talked to me, I don't know if I should even say this, but Doug and I are friends and we live real close to each other. And so one of the things at Civic Pride Park, he'd like to see that park updated a little bit. He mentioned that I think before, but his new idea, you know, he'd like to, you know, get some, you know, deciduous trees down there. I know that would add more work to the Parks Department, breaking up the leaves, but there's really not much there. You know, clean, you know, I mean, he didn't say this part, but you know, there's the rock trails there. The rock trails could be clean. I know more works for the Parks Department, Shauna, you know, but you know, fix those paths up that were made back in the 50s, I think, you know, and then maybe put some benches in there for eating. And Doug mentioned a bunch of, he'd like to see some trees in there. So it looks like a park, you know, besides just the area there. And this I've talked about a couple of different times because, you know, you guys know that I'm always talking about the urban trail. And I would really like to see that area on Y Street above the cliff there. I mentioned this at the last meeting. And we talked about, you know, maybe having, you know, some type of cable fence along that between, there's 3 telephone poles up there. So from one telephone, there's probably more than that, but there's 3 telephone poles where there's no area. And that is a dangerous area. You know, I think the city, you know, I think it's a liability for the city, but I think before we finally get the urban trails, you know, completed, you know, there needs to be something there because I don't think we can have people walking close to that cliff with kids and that sort of thing, you know, that just, that just brings up too much liability. And the other thing that I mentioned too, in the urban trail, I'd like to see maybe down there on North 2nd Street, where you come out of Godfrey Park on that little trail that comes out of Godfrey Park, that little panhandle type thing. You know, maybe initially, you know, have some type of cross, you know, this, you know, a crosswalk put in there. So it's an official crosswalk so people can walk across there, you know, towards Y Street.
And signage on that side too.
And maybe signage, yeah.
You know that the park is that way. We've talked about that before.
And the other thing too, since you talked about siding, one thing we've talked about all the time is we felt, I'm not just talking about me, but you just made me think about it, that most of us anyway, thought that each park should have a kiosk at it, you know, with a map, with trails and things.
Yeah, we did. We talked about that last time and it's on this list.
Okay, okay, I didn't.
All parks, kiosks. Yeah, so it's on there. Anyone else have thoughts or want to share anything? Howard, Lynn, I know you
Yep.
both worked.
Yeah, I've made a few suggestions in the past and I don't know if they ever got written down or not. At one time I did talk about trying to locate property lines on a few edges of certain parks so that they can be delineated a little bit better, maybe with rows of rocks so people would understand where the parks really begin in some of our parks. I know we've had a few parks here and there where people have been slowly going across the property lines and doing things or mowing and stuff. So I think that could be something important to do, is to delineate some of our parks where we have some edges that are in doubt of where it really starts, if that makes sense to you. I'm with Jerry that, you know, we need quite a few more kiosks and benches in some of our parks. And also keep pushing for the urban trail, because at one time they said, oh, it's not in the list. So who knows, maybe the list will get upgraded and the urban trail can be put in there so we can have more pressure to get it completed sooner. So I think that's it for that section for me.
Does anyone else online have input? I can't see anybody, so I just thought if there's anything you want to add.
I just wanted to comment on civic pride. And it would be nice if we put trees there or bushes to have a native species to Oregon.
Agreed. I think
Good idea.
that park could use a revamping.
Shauna, you've talked about, you know, Jacob and John, three of you guys talked about more baseball fields, softball fields. I don't see those. That's not parks or. Because I know you guys.
Turn a ball field into a large multi-sport field.
Yeah, it's on there.
Turf.
And we also
Then there's a sports
have
court.
field
at
size
Civic Park.
requirements, yeah. And I'm happy to look through some of our past meeting minutes and go through and kind of pull out things and just add to this list, because I know that we brought up other things that just haven't made it quite onto the list. So I'm happy to do that in advance of our next meeting and just kind of get a list out to send to everybody and see and bring, people can add to it, and yeah. All right. Patrick, go ahead.
I wanted to comment, Lynn, your comment about the native species. I actually saw when I talked with Doug, and I want to thank Jerry for mentioning Civic Pride Park, because Doug wanted me to talk about it specifically, and I forgot about it. But yeah, I think that would be an opportunity to be a showcase for different native species. It would certainly help on maintenance and care. And I think I think we could maybe work really on individuals trying to rally around that in terms of purchase of the plants and maybe even maintenance, so that we're not putting so much more on Shauna, who is doing, she and her staff are doing just tremendous work, especially now at the beginning of the school year with the after-school program, but definitely yeah, native plants would be the way to go. And I did notice in your minutes last time some discussion about the ball fields at the Boise Industrial Park. I do know that's a major concern of Councilor Chilton, and I know myself that as that project to develop the parcelization and of that area that I believe I have expressed at meetings, and I know that Councilor Chilton has, that we would hope to, best we can, to have some kind of replacement in place before they are removed. So just like with the riverfront, the industrial park, we have adopted a development framework that is 4 different phases. And the first phase does include that section along Castor Road. As a matter of fact, if the kind of plan is that Castor Road spur. So as you go in Castor Road, the spur is the road that goes off right, that would be removed, and that there would just be access through the straight Castor Road to allow for development of some of these parcels. So that would be one issue. But then, yes, that is something, again, no final decisions have made. I'm not sure what the timeline is for development. That just depends upon money available, plan, that sort of thing. But I know that there has been expressed by council members a desire to, before those fields are removed, that we have something, would like to have something in place, wherever that might, would that be Ross, perhaps a new park on Ross Road, some other place, but that is something we're very cognizant of. Last thing I want to say, I want to try to begin organizing. I haven't thrown this out yet. Organizing maybe kind of a citywide, and this would have to not only involve the Parks and Trails Commission and all, but something I'd like to call the Great Scots Broom Sweep. As you walk through anywhere in our county, Scots Broom, it's everywhere, and it is taking over the west side of Mccormack areas. It has, and it continues to. And I'm thinking that I'd like to begin working sometime in the spring, have some kind of citywide, again, calling it the Great Scots Broom Sweep. Okay, I got it. Okay. So just get in and working with the extension, with the Scappas Bay Watershed Council, working with the Soil and Water Conservation District Chamber. If you're not aware of Scots Broom, it's a beautiful flower in the spring. It's this beautiful yellow flower with a little red thing. It's an evil plant. Evil that seeds can lay dormant for 80 years. And so that even if with our great sweep, we remove a lot, it would have to be an ongoing effort, but to maintain that. But that is something I'm going to begin working on. I'll be coming back to the commission here to see what we can do about that. And my hope would be too, not just city properties, but it would be a way to raise awareness with private property owners to be aware of what's on their property and maybe sweep away the broom.
And what month were you thinking about doing that in?
I think I'm in spring. March, April. I don't know.
'cause we want to do another cleanup probably about that time and.
Yeah, so I definitely would want to,
Yeah.
coordinate it around and have it done the following month or something.
Of course, have it done at the same time.
Oh, yeah, so.
And
You know what?
Patrick,
Yeah, yes,
when you get into some of that, let me know, because especially if the ground's a little bit wet, I have that great tool called a weed wrench.
right.
And Scotch broom is one of the things that it excels at, as long as it's not too huge a one, and just yanking it out by the roots. So let me know sometime if you want to go out with me, and we can go pull a few ahead of time. And
I have to I have to fill out a new volunteer form with the park department. I do not have an up-to-date one, so I haven't been doing any of my scout removal, so I will, so yes, Howard, I will after I get my fill out my volunteer form.
You have a tag.
Okay.
Hey, I've got my city council tag now I can throw on, so anyway, okay.
Scotch broom tag.
All right. Cool. Well, I will take it as homework to update and kind of add to this list based on some of my past meeting notes and looking back at past meeting minutes. And then I will send that all out to you or make sure it's included in the packet and you guys can cross things up or edit as you want. Anything else anyone has to add about master plan? Next on old business, we have plan monthly park updates by commission members. So this is something that we used to do pre-COVID, and then we kind of got out of the habit when we didn't have meetings for a while. But the thought is to each month have somebody present on a park. Jerry did the botanical gardens last month, and so I was hoping to get a volunteer from somebody who wants to give an update on one of their parks at the next meeting, and then we'll just continue each meeting to pick someone for the next meeting.
I can do McCormack.
You want to do McCormack? Okay, awesome, thank you. And I would say we could do like 2 a meeting, but I don't know that we have time. Our meetings usually run kind of long, so if anyone wants to go as a backup and present if there's time, that's welcome too. I just think we have so many parks just doing one meeting. It takes a while to get through them all.
Looks
So.
like you have a recording to do equipment there.
Oh, yeah.
They could, could do, could be backup to be 6th Street deal. If he's doing it.
Yeah, you can do 2. Price of 1.
Well, nice, thank you.
Double the
You're
homework.
welcome.
I need to see 2, but I can get added to that then.
Oh, yeah, well, so that's the thing is, I was wondering if it makes sense to have you added to a park. Or it looks like we have Heine Human that's open and unassigned, or if it makes sense to have you be our historian over
whatever-
all of them.
Whatever works.
But totally what your preference is, if there's specific parts your parks are interested in, or
Yeah, if nobody has Tiny Human for now, I can take that.
you want to do that?
Good idea.
And then Jake, maybe you and I could talk sometime too, because I've been really interested in the veterans area of McCormack Park, and then also behind that is used to be called the Japanese Gardens. If we could even split off that little section, I'd be interested in.
You want, in the next couple of weeks, we can go down to the park together. Just
Sounds good.
Anyone else have thoughts on that? Alrighty, next up is the Parks and Rec.
Awesome. So I have a few things. So one thing, Thad has retired. I don't know if you all heard. So he has worked here for 23 years, and his party is on September 23rd. So it's kind of fitting from 3 to 4 p.m. at McCormack Park. So please come on if you can. Lisa had sent everyone an email, but if you need a follow-up email, let me know. There'll be light refreshments. And so we're super sad, but also excited for him.
Right there at the city parks, the office there.
No, we'll do it at one of the pavilions right there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Okay.
At what time?
From 3 to 4 on the 23rd. For 23 years.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah. Yeah, so we're super sad but excited for him. I don't know if you all knew this, but Thad and I used to be neighbors years ago. My first house I bought from him. So we go like way back. Yeah. So we have quite the history.
So his position is going to be filled by somebody else eventually, or what? What's the plan?
So we're still working on what that looks like. So we're
Okay.
currently down to 2 parks, 3 with me, but 2 field staff right now. So if you see us with our hair on fire, that's what's going on. So we do have our seasonal help still. They're getting ready to phase out here in a little while. A lot of them go to college and have other things going on. So they'll be leaving us September 30th, which they've done a fantastic job. I don't know if you've noticed some of the areas that have gotten some sprucing up, like across from the rec center. We really focused a lot on Columbia View Park down here, and just have really worked through projects that weren't done during the COVID time because they didn't have that extra support. So we're kind of digging out of that right now and starting to see the lights and being able to take on a few, like helping with the disc golf course stuff. Paul's question, we are looking at what the restructuring for FTE is in that department to make the most sense for what our needs are. And you'll start hearing probably that coming up in the next couple of council meetings on how we're gonna position that. After school program started for the Parks and Recreation. That's over at Lewis and Clark, and then all the schools feed into that. We have about 30 kids each day right now, and it's been really fun. Friday was our first day, so we're only 1 day in, but I got to go hang out for a little bit and see some of our friends that we haven't seen for over a year, so that was really nice. Soccer also started. It's our first year doing a rec league out here. We're just doing grades 3 and below. Anything over that has different board kind of things that you have to do because they travel. So we just did that. We have over 100 kids signed up for that. So they're doing that. Our Parks and Rec admin position closed. We had over 50 applicants for that. So Kathy and I reviewed those today. We're going to start interviews on Friday for that. That's the position that's funded with the ARPA funds for 3 years. So we're super grateful that that was something that was allotted for us, because with all the special use permits and reservations, a lot of people are using our parks a lot more. They feel a lot more safer doing outdoor events. So our parks have just been booked solid this summer with reservations. Anytime, especially McCormack, when you go on the weekends, they are just booked solid. So I agree fully on the new kiosk and signages at all the parks. I think it's important to have places people can hang their reservations that look nice, and then for information, especially with the different work groups coming up, so it's easily accessible. We onboarded a new recreation software a few months ago, so we're still working through that, but it's really user friendly. It's called RecDesk, and the gal who trained us on it actually lives in Bend, so that was a nice local company. And then we also are starting with a new software for parks, which they've never had software before, called Productive Parks. And what that will do is help us create work orders. It will help us keep track of our fleets. It will help us, when the master plans come up with planning for how that's going to look. And it also will help us keep track of our receipts so we can see what parks are getting hit really hard with vandalism, because Campbell Park has a lot of opportunities over there. And during the master plan process, just really looking at where the playground is currently, if that's a great place for it, because it is, the bathrooms and the playgrounds are getting vandalized at least once a week over there, that we're having to do some sort of repair. And so just figuring out what that looks like, especially with that new sports court going over there, we want to make sure that we're able to have nice things there. We're hoping now that the kids are back in school and maybe have some more things going on, that it won't be out of boredom as much as before. I also have my youth leaders group that is helping plan spaces and programs. I'm hoping to get those going so that they can help alleviate some of this vandalism and find things that their ages like to do, because I think I know what they like and they tell me I don't, or my kids say, we don't do that, Mom. So the RFP process, we should have the RFP ready for the next parks meeting for you all to take a look at, and then we'll take it to council. And what that will do is go out for a bid on a organization to start doing the master plan work for us. So it's great to have the ideas going, but we're gonna really get into the nitty gritty stuff. And so I would ask that instead of sending me ideas or giving me ideas right now, that we wait until that opens so that we can have them all in one place, because I have a lot of different things going on. And what that does with master plans, I don't know how familiar you all are with it, probably pretty familiar, but it's gonna look at what our population is, what our city size is, what needs we have for recreation, what needs we have for dog parks, where, because I know we don't have any dog parks on the other side of the highway. So does it make sense to create more this side, or does it make sense to create one over, say, at Campbell Park or somewhere over there? So that we'll get into the real nitty gritty of how we're gonna fund it, what that looks like for the next 10 to 20 years. And so that's gonna be really exciting, and I'm really excited to work on that project with you all too.
Process, is it possible for members of the commission to be involved in that process and kind of the scoring of folks that submit proposals?
I'm sure that could be worked in. I will double check. Matt and I are working on that. So yeah, I will definitely go back with him to see. Yeah, thank you for that suggestion. The new rec center that we have, we're calling it a community center. It's over on Gable Road. We have done a few things that needed to be done to make it code appropriate. Some doors needed to be removed on the outside. We're waiting for a drawing from Lower Columbia Engineering to come back so we can finish some other work that goes there. So that is being progressed, but we're just not quite ready to open it quite yet. But I think you'll be excited for the different things that we're able to offer there, because there is a stage for theater, there's a kitchen, there's some office space. So it will be good to create sort of a community hub there. And then we also are planning on using the recreation center on Old Portland Road still for activities and stuff too. And we've grown leaps and bounds with COVID. People are just really looking for places to go and things to do. And I think a lot of people have turned into the community more instead of going out to other communities to find things. They're really looking here. So I think it's appropriate with the ball fields and all of those things. We're seeing a lot of use on those types of stuff. Let's see. I think that's it for me. I'm really enjoying being in this position. I think we've really got some footing on some good work going and how we're going to do it. And the staff is amazing, both on the Parks and Rec side. So couldn't ask for a better group of folks to do things with. They're multi-talented. Our staff that is out in the field, Cameron and Tori, like the things that they're able to put together, so like the kiosks, and I mean, they're just brilliant with that sort of stuff. So that's really nice. They've been putting out the new picnic tables. I don't know if you've all noticed, but those look really great, and they're gonna save us time in the winter time, not painting them all anymore, that we can just pressure wash them. And just looking at, making our parks look beautiful. We've had a lot of bees going on, so we've been getting a lot of wasp nests lately. Yeah, so I think that's it for my side. I did apply for a $75,000 grant that I should hear back in October, and that will be for after school funding support. So I've been really trying to find every opportunity, and I'll start applying for some parks grants here soon. But with the master plan, it will be nice because it will have, what we need the grant for and stuff. So yeah.
Cool. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah, I just appreciate the approach you guys are taking and kind of strategic thinking about long-term for our parks and maintaining things in a way instead of just fixing something that's broken, thinking through what's the right way long-term. So that's cool. All right, next up, the last item is discussion items. So I will let folks speak up if they have something to share. Howard's raising his hand.
Yep, I've got 2 or 3 things. I'll try to do this quickly. Number one would be is that I was looking through the website and I saw the friends groups, and Nob Hill finally did get listed officially as a friends group. And so my question there is that it was so easy. I hope that we find other people for other parks to sign up. Basically, I just wanted contact information for a friends group. The other thing would be is we've been doing a lot of watering in Nob Hill, and then in October, I believe Emily with the Watershed Council is going to be starting to spray at some point for the blackberries in that area. And then also we've been wondering why you talk about strange things happening in parks. Down by the water faucet by the sewage treatment plant, we've been having 200 to 300 pound rocks moving down there. The people are rolling the rocks over. And over the weekend, we found that there's a geocache box there. And I'm wondering if people are turning over 200 to 300 pound rocks looking for the geocache. We've had about 6 to 7 rocks in that area rolled over. We've been able to roll most of them back, but there's one that's just too huge to put back. So has anyone heard anything about seeing anything like that ever?
Nope.
I would move
Interesting.
rocks.
Not anything that
Are the rocks moving to a spot that's like causing issues, or?
Well, it's like there's a ring that goes around the water faucet to keep people from being able to drive into it and stuff. And so far, 5 of those have gotten turned over. And then whoever turns them over don't turn them back. So I don't know if it's geocachers or if it's people that are just really, you'd start to call vandalism when you take a rock that's marking off something and roll it a roll or two away. It's just rather interesting. It's just, has anyone had that type of experience yet in their park to see rocks get rolled? You know, so that's probably enough on that. Also, we're hoping to get some publicity for our work parties coming up in November 6th, that we have the morning work party and an afternoon work party. So we've got lots going on there. So more probably next month on that, just before the work party. So those are my comments for now, I believe.
Thank you, Howard.
There's no go back.
Lynn?
Yeah, I just wanted to give you an update on, we had a donation of $1,000, and 500 of it went to Dalton. And so I talked to Emily Martin, and she has a commercial sprayer's license for to spray the invasive species that we were interested in doing there. I walked her down the areas that we wanted sprayed, and that was the main entrance and the 3 trails that go to the Columbia on either side. And she said the treatment would cost $657. So I think we're going to go back to the drawing board and decide if we just maybe what the cost would be for the 3 trails. Or we might have to, another issue would be having to give that $500 over to another park that can use it in the next year to their advantage. Because if we do any plantings of native species, that there's a lot of scraping that is being planned for 2022, possibly. And it would be dumped on the right side of the entry. And so we've got to talk about that and find out if we need to delay that, or maybe if it could go to another park where they can use that. But we don't have the $657 to do that. That's it.
Emily able to tell you how much they can do for $500 and do that?
That's the next step. She just gave me what it would cost for our walkthrough.
Okay. It seems like that would be a good a good option is just do what we can with it, or it's not gonna be everything, but at least it's better than nothing.
Yeah, I would hope that we could get the 3 trails done.
Yeah. Interesting.
Thank you.
So again, that's Lynn's decision, right? Then that's your decision?
No, that's the advisory committee's decision.
I'm with Carmen, do what you can.
Yeah, we're never gonna
Yeah.
get everything.
Yeah, you got the money, use it.
All right. Anyone else have updates or discussion items?
Just I realized I should have kept my great broom sweep for this point in the agenda. So, sorry for being anyway.
We'll give you a pass this time.
Thank you. Okay, yeah. Last time I'll be invited.
Not a big deal.
Sorry.
All right, if that's it, if nobody has anything else, then we can do meeting adjourned.
All right.
5:22.
And Jerry, remember to stop by on your way home.
I will.
And anyone else who's there to take a quick walk.
Thank you, everybody.
All right. Thank you.
Bye.